Squid Game. This is the most popular series on Netflix right now, and in this video I will explain the first 3 episodes of the show. Sit back and enjoy, but watch out for spoilers. Gi-hun is a broke man who has accumulated a lot of debt. He lives off of his poor mother's money, and blows what little money he does have, gambling on horses. On the morning of his daughter Ga Young's birthday, he gambles and wins 4 million won, then promises Ga Young all kinds of treats. But almost immediately, he is chased by some goons he already owes money to, and loses his newfound wealth to a thief. The loan sharks force him to sign a contract, confirming he'll pay up in 1 month, or the cost will be recovered in the form of his vital organs. He even signs in his blood to make it all official. Disappointed, he tries to win something from a claw machine for his daughter. Ga Young is adorable, and is careful not to upset Gi-hun when he is forced to take her for a cheap junk food meal. He gifts her a cigarette lighter in the shape of a gun, which he won from the claw machine. Tensions are high between Ga Young's mom and Gi-hun, and she yells at him for bringing the girl back late. At the train station, Gi-hun is approached by a salesman carrying a briefcase. He wants to play a game called dakji, and for every round of dakji Gi-hun wins, he'll gain 100,000 won. If he loses, he will have to give up that same amount of money. Desperate, Gi-hun agrees to play, but the game does not go to his plan. Every time Gi-hun loses, he receives a slap on the face, a substitute for plunging further into debt. However, we learn that this game is only a test for something bigger that awaits. The strange man hands over a business card, and walks away telling Gi-hun that there are only a few places left in a much better game with a much bigger price. When Gi-hun returns home, his mother tells him that Ga Young will be moving to the US next year. In order for her to stay, he has to prove he can support her financially. Compelled by the idea of winning more money, he calls the number on the business card and agrees to participate. Later that day, Gi-hun onboards a carrier along with other passengers, and all of them are quickly gassed into unconsciousness for the trip. Gi-hun awakens to find himself with 455 other contestants, and all of them are inside this strange room filled with bunk beds. Contestant 1 is an old man with a brain tumor and dementia. Contestant 67 is the same girl who stole Gi-hun's money earlier at the gambling center. A fight soon breaks out between contestants 101 and 67, and the gangster accuses the girl of being a North Korean spy. Gi-hun jumps in and manages to stop things escalating, but not for long. The doors open, revealing these strange hooded figures. They are all wearing hot pink overalls and black masks, adorned with either a square, circle or triangle, the same symbols that were on the back of the salesman's business card. They explain that the group will be there for 6 days, competing across 6 different games. There is a lot of money on the line, and it seems that every single person in this room is in massive debt. A giant piggy bank is then suspended from the ceiling, and it is where the prize money will be accumulated in. Upon agreeing to participate, each player signs a consent form and has their picture taken. Afterwards, they are led through multicolored staircases until they reach the game room, which is a large open area where the players are forced to stand behind a white line. A strange man in a black mask known as the front man, watches all that happens from numerous monitors in a different room. At the game room, Gi-hun bumps into his old friend named Sang-woo, and is surprised to see him there. We learn that the first game is red light green light, a children's game where you move on green and stop still on red, until you reach the finish line. A giant robotic doll starts the game, and immediately numerous gunshots echo across the playing field, killing the contestants who don't stick to the rules of the game. Most participants attempt to flee and are killed, their corpses piling up on top of each other by the doors. The remaining players have no choice but to play along. Sang-woo helps Gi-hun figure out the motion sensor, and advises him to stay behind someone else. Player 67 has the same idea, hiding behind and antagonizing player 101 during the game. Gi-hun trips, but player 199 catches him when he is about to fall and remains still. Several contestants make it to the finish line on time, and Gi-hun only makes it by the skin of his teeth. Those left on the field once that timer ends are shot dead. With the game over, the roof suddenly covers the entire field as the camera pans out. We see that the games are taking place on an island, and there seems to be no escape. Oh no. After realizing that elimination means death, the remaining 201 participants start crying and going into a frenzy. Most want to leave, and almost nobody wants to play. However, the consent form everyone signed earlier guaranteed elimination if they refused to participate. But Sang-woo points out the third clause stated that if a majority of players refuse to play, the games will be cancelled. The staff then decide to hold a vote, but before that, they fill up the piggy bank with the first round of money, making it clear that the total prize pot will be 45.6 billion. With 100 million won per contestant, there's 25.5 billion up for grabs already. If they all quit, this money will be divided up to the deceased, but the living will go home with nothing. Gi-hun is the first to vote. He votes not to continue. So do many others. The vote remains neck and neck all throughout, but eventually, Sang-woo and a few others push the positive votes into the lead. It's player 1, the old man, who gets to cast the deciding vote, breaking a tie, when he selects to not continue. Half the room is ecstatic, the other not so much. With that, everyone is deposited back to their lives, with the notice that if a majority of people want to continue the games, then they will be restarted. Gi-hun is dumped with Se-byuk, who stole his money. Sang-woo is with player 199 Ali, and they go to a store to get a phone charger. Sang-woo finds himself back in the same dull life from before when he gets a bunch of text messages, reminding him he owes a lot of money. But he still helps out Ali by giving him money for food and bus fare to travel home. Meanwhile, Gi-hun goes to the police and tells them everything, but the police think it's ridiculous. When Gi-hun presents the business card the salesman gave him, the number goes through to a random woman who claims to have no knowledge of any games. Later we learn that Gi-hun's mom is diabetic and is under the risk of losing her legs, but they cannot afford hospitalization. Sang-woo happens to have an arrest warrant out for him despite his distinguished status in society, and unfortunately when his mother finds out, it completely crushes her. Ali is being screwed over by his boss, who refuses to give him the money he has earned. So he steals money from him, and runs back home to his wife and kid. He gives her the money and asks her to leave the city, because it is not safe for them anymore. Player 101, Dok-soo, is also in debt and is betrayed by his own people, forcing him to jump off of a bridge. Se-byuk visits her little brother who is in an orphanage. Her parents are stuck in another place and are unable to be with them. The people who promised to help her parents, tricks her after taking her money. It is clear now that the games are the only opportunity that all these people have, to free themselves from their miserable circumstances. When Gi-hun goes to ask Ga-young's mother for a loan, he learns that she too is broke and her new husband gives her a living allowance. Ga-young's stepfather tries to pay Gi-hun off in exchange for him not visiting her anymore, so Gi-hun hits him. Shortly afterwards, he's approached by a police officer named Jun-ho who's been following Gi-hun's case since he overheard him at the police station. Jun-ho's brother had received a similar business card and had gone missing. He wants Gi-hun's help to find his brother, but Gi-hun pretends to know nothing about the games. When Gi-hun returns home, he finds another of those business cards wedged in his door. Unsurprisingly, he and all of the show's other main characters all wait to be picked up, to once again be taken back to the games. Se-byuk comes prepared and does not inhale the gas that makes everyone unconscious. Meanwhile, police officer Jun-ho, who had been following Gi-hun, follows the cars to a port and realizes that they are preparing to onboard a ferry. Instead of calling for backup or taking pictures though, Jun-ho messages the chief, telling him he'll be late, and stows away inside one of the cars. After knocking out one of the staff members and stealing his outfit, he dumps his body out at sea with his own ID. Jun-ho then blends in with the other staffers. There are a lot of staff working on this island, and they silently work to strip down each candidate before placing them in the dormitory. Se-byuk, who is pretending to be asleep, steals a knife during this time. When everyone wakes up, we see that 187 people have decided to come back. Soon the players start forming teams for their survival, and Gi-hun, Sang-woo, Ali and the old man form a team. Dok-soo follows suit and begins to form a group of his own, with gangster-like men. Se-byuk remains on her own, unable to trust anyone. With the contestants all fed, the staff return to their quarters. Only it's pretty much a prison for them too, unable to remove their masks and being watched 24/7. And who are they being watched by? More staff. It seems there is a hierarchy among all these staff members, with different symbols on their masks to reinforce this. Player 212 is a cheeky woman and she screams at the staffers to let her out so she can use the toilet. Se-biao joins her as well. With player 212's help, she uses the knife she stole to unscrew the vent above, and spies at the staff melting something like sugar in large pots. Meanwhile, player 111 has a distinct advantage over everyone else given that he has someone on the inside, helping him to pass each game. He receives notes with clues smuggled in food. It seems that some staffers have their own agendas. The next day, the players are escorted to the second game and the room has been done up as a giant playground. A circle, triangle, star, and umbrella adorn the walls and the players are asked to pick a shape. Thanks to overhearing Se-biao's conversation the night before, Sang-woo has a hunch over what this game is, but he decides not to tell his teammates. Sang-woo picks the triangle, Ali the circle, Old Man the star and Gi-hun the umbrella. It turns out those shapes are etched into a chunk of honeycomb and each contestant needs to remove the shape without snapping or breaking it. If they do, they're shot dead. Gi-hun, who has the hardest shape, realizes that he's probably screwed. The game begins and the players have 10 minutes to finish. As the time limit starts, Sang-woo, Ali and Se-biao all pass pretty easily. The staff keeps a watchful eye on everyone, and anyone who fails is promptly executed. Player 212 has a lighter and she discreetly uses it to warm the needle. She carves out a perfect star, and in a bid to get on the gangster's side, she passes the lighter to him. Gi-hun once again goes down to the wire. As he nervously sweats on the honeycomb, he gets an idea to melt it from the back, thinning the outline so he can more easily remove the umbrella. So he starts licking the honeycomb frantically, and everyone else starts to follow his idea. With a second left, Gi-hun succeeds and breaks down in tears. In a desperate move, one of the unsuccessful umbrella players attacks one of the staff members, holding him hostage. He orders him to take off his mask and turn around, discovering that he's a very young man, scarcely more than a child. Seeing this, the player kills himself, and then the front man in the black mask executes the staffer. He reminds the staffers that they cannot give away their identities to anyone. During cleanup duties, Jun-ho grabs the dead boy's mask from the ground, to blend in with the staffers who hold more authority. Stay tuned for part 2 of this recap. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like and subscribe to our channel for more awesome recaps.